Phase 2. Phase 2 is made up of 3 lesson plans related to the original anchor text, The Waterhole by Graeme Base. From there we based our unit focusing on sustainability within the English unit. The first phase sets the scene for the 2 following phases. In Phase 2, Lesson 1 begins with a warm-up exercise of reading The Waterhole, which was also model read to the children in Lesson 1 of Phase 1. In Phase 2, the children are asked to explore the differences of an information text and a narrative text. In this lesson alone, they are using the 4 resource model by Luke Freebody, as well as the gradual release of responsibility model, also known as the optimal learning model by Reggie Roteman. In the first lesson, there is the code breaker, the text participant, and the text user. All 3 of these are displayed in the first lesson. The code breaker is where the children are listening and engaging with written text. When the teacher reads The Waterhole, they are looking at the visual text, illustrations, and what this brings to the story, as well as the written words that the teacher is saying, and the children are beginning to understand what they mean. They move into the next section, the text participant area, when they compare the narrative text and the information text. How are they written differently? What types of words are used? And so forth. They then move to the text analysis, as they begin to understand who a narrative text is written for and how it is written, compared to the information text, where there is lots of writing and very limited pictures, and the setup of the page is very different. Such as in the Waterhole narrative, the words and the illustrations are very much together. In Lesson 1, the gradual release of responsibility model was used as a shared reading, where the children helped the teacher read the Waterhole narrative that they had read in Phase 1. This gives them another insight into the story and less pressure on them to perform, which then led into a guided reading lesson on how to identify an information text, its key features, and how to use it to gain the knowledge wanted from the text. For example, how to use the content page to look up the weather in the Weather Book by Weldon Owens. Lesson 2 also uses the gradual release of responsibility model, as the teacher used reading the information text as a share reading for the whole class. By this I mean that the teacher helped the children look through the books and read out the important facts. The children said what they knew as well, and what they had seen looking in these books in the previous lesson. In this lesson, the children became text users according to the 4 resource model, as well as text participants. Because the children looked through the book as well as listened, they also watched a video clip of Plip and Plop. And from the knowledge in pairs, they drew what they knew affects waterholes. The students either copied or the teacher scribed their understanding onto the paper. This was a step in creating their narrative because they used information they had gained and drew it, and then explained to the class what they had drawn and written in a small oral presentation. In Lesson 3, the children were taken on an exciting excursion to the Gleeson wetlands. However, before they left, they read the book The Waterhole. Due to reading this numerous times, the children would be able to read this fairly well with the teacher. This time around, the children were asked to focus their attention on what they saw in the book and what they might see at the wetlands. The children then took their observations by drawing and writing at the wetlands, and also used a camera where they took pictures that would be used later in Phase 3 for the narrative story. The children also enjoyed a period of independent reading. This is the final stage of the gradual release of responsibility model.